I hope everybody had a good day and has enjoyed their day at work as much as they want. Now you're ready to play a little bit because we're going to play and have some fun. As Elizabeth said, I do encourage you to keep your video on because it's easier for me to kind of see how you're reacting to things if I can see your faces. Makes it a little easier for me to tell if somebody's lost or confused, or we're still, some of us, programmed to raise our hands, and there is a way to do that in the chat box, but if you forget and raise your hand in the video, I'll try to catch that as well. The title of this course is Learning Pathways, Infants to Adolescents, and it's actually a 4-part series. We're on part 3 now, the Elementary Explorers. So tonight, we're going to spend our time really diving into pathways. We're going to take a look at a document called the Navigator that far too many people disregard. So we're going to go through it pretty thoroughly. If you have been with us the last couple of Wednesdays, we did a session on Zoom Basics for Beginners, which we're not going to repeat tonight. So if you are having trouble just operating in Zoom, I would suggest trying to catch, we might do a repeat of the Zoom Basics for Beginners at some point. Elizabeth, talk to me. We'll see if we can get that back on the calendar. And then last week we did toddlers. We explored the International and the District 56 website. So tonight we are diving into pathways. So what I'm going to ask everybody to do to begin with is let me know by show of fingers how many monitors you have, because I just want to get a feel for how many people are operating with 1, 2, or 3 monitors. Shelly, how many do you have? Shelly's not showing his fingers. Joe's got 3, you're good. Pat, how many do you have? You can say it if you're not going to put your video on. All right, Pat went out for pizza. David, I got you, Marcia.
Yes, and I have 2.
You have 2, okay. And Charla? Got you, Roxanne?
I have 1, thank you.
Okay, so if you have 2, what I suggest doing is putting the Zoom screen over on one and opening a browser on the other, because while I'm going to show you some things on the screen, a lot of times it helps if, as I do it, you follow along on your screen. Most of the things that you see will be exactly like mine. Now, if we look at my profile, for example, or I look at my specific path, they won't be the same because you and I may not have signed up for the same path. But we'll make allowances for that. If you only have one screen, no worries. You can still play with us. It's just harder for you to follow. It's harder for you to watch what we're doing and do it on your browser because you can't have both things. It's hard to have both things open in the same window. All right. Well, let's get started. So, Elementary Explorers, our goals for today are we're going to locate, download, and explore the Navigator document, which is the key to pathways. So locate, download, and explore. That's what we're going to do. So if everybody who has the ability to go ahead and open a browser aside from your Zoom window, go ahead and do that and make your way to the Toastmasters International website. If you do not, that's fine. I'm going to put mine on and you are going to get to view with me my browser. All right, can everybody see the Toastmasters International on mine? Very good. I have not yet logged in, just in case somebody needs help logging in. What you need to log in are 2 pieces of information. You will need the email that Toastmasters International uses to communicate with you and your password. To log in, up near the top of the screen, you'll see a little shopping cart and then you'll see login. If you click on that login, it's going to open a place for you to put in your email address and your password. So put in your email address and your password, and then just click login. If you don't know your password, but you're confident that you know your email and you have access to that email, you can go down and click forgot password, and it'll send you a way to reset your password. If you don't have access to that email anymore, then I'm going to show you where you can go on the Toastmasters site to send them an email and ask them to, or call them and get your email reset, because when I changed jobs rather suddenly, I suddenly lost access to the email that I had my Toastmasters stuff sent to, and I had to call and get that fixed because I couldn't get back into it. I knew my password, but I wanted to go ahead and get the email changed, and then it was a mess. So they're very nice folks. They will help you out. Once we get logged in, the screen looks essentially the same for anybody who's logged in and for anybody who's not logged in. The big difference is welcome and then your name. Yours probably doesn't say Carolyn because I bet you didn't log in with my password. But Joe's would say welcome Joe, Elizabeth would say welcome Elizabeth, Shelley's is going to say welcome Shelley, and so on. From here, to get to Pathways, we have a number of options. Who can tell me one way to get to Pathways from here? Go ahead, Roxanne.
You can actually click on where it says Welcome Carolyn, and it'll take you to your home page, which is like your Basecamp Navigate or all your different information, like your profile.
Yeah, your profile. Yeah, that's exactly what it takes you to, is to your profile. And here we have go to Basecamp, choose a path, and look at that, the Navigator, which is what we're going to be looking at most of the evening tonight. So that's one way to get there. Can anybody tell me another way to get there? If I go back to the Toastmasters main page, another way to get to Pathways.
You can select Pathways.
Yes, you can click on Pathways. And if you click on Pathways, it'll give you Learn More, Start Page, frequently asked questions, choose a path, and look at there, the Navigator. That's twice we've seen that. That tells you it might be important because they're kind of highlighting it. All right, another way to get to Pathways. Who can tell me one more way to get to Pathways? She warned you it was going to be interactive. I'm not letting anybody off the hook. Demetria, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, Demetria, do you know another way to get to Pathways?
Well, I don't know what you've already said, but I would click the Pathways. I heard that one.
Okay, you can click Pathways. Do you know another way?
I would type it in search at the top.
Up in the search at the top, what would you type?
Pathways.
Pathways. And look at that, Pathways. Now, when you go to anything through the search, you almost always get more than you could possibly need. This is going to give us a chance to see over 10 pages of documents. So this is a great way to get there. You just want to be careful and make sure, A, you pick it in your language, because unless you speak Japanese, this first one is not going to be terribly helpful. And then there, go on and take a look at what you most likely are going to need there. Navigating Pathways in Arabic, probably not going to help me. French, not going to help me. Navigating Pathways, the flyer, that could help. All right, so any of those might work. One more way, we'll see if anybody knows, from the homepage that I know of, and you may know of another way besides how I know. No one? Joe, you don't want to give it a shot? We've talked about going in through your profile. We've talked about going in through Pathways. We've done a search. There's one more way that I know off the top of my
Leadership.
Education. Very good.
Oh.
Yeah, click on education and look what's right there. Pathways. And if we go there, what comes up? Welcome to Pathways. So just a little bit about Pathways. In the old system, in the legacy system, you did a speaking path and you did a leadership path. In Pathways, they have combined those into 11 different paths that you can follow. And these 11 paths, and they're up on my screen now, all touch on some of the things that were in both the Competent Communicator and the Competent Leader manuals. So you're going to get both. You don't feel like anybody's missing out on what we had in the old system. All they've done is enhance it and combine it a little better, put it together so that it works together. We had folks that would take off and go down the leadership path, and they never really got a lot of the speaking. And then we had people that took off down the speaking path and forgot to mark all their roles and things that they did. Not that that was bad, but this makes it easier to integrate them and work towards the ultimate educational goal, which is a DTM. but that may not be your ultimate goal. Everybody joins Toastmasters for different reasons. And the DTM, while a fabulous accomplishment, may not be the be-all end-all for you. For you, it may just be getting comfortable speaking, or it may be getting a feel for how you can be a better leader. That's fine. You can still do that in all of these paths. The 11 paths touch on slightly different aspects of leadership and communication. You're going to find things in paths that are the same. For example, the very first project in every path, anybody want to take a guess what it is?
Icebreaker.
Icebreaker. Just like it was your first speech when in the old system, the icebreaker is the very first project in every path. And so I've had people ask, well, can I do one and count it for 2 paths? No. But you could do it, and then you could refine it and do it again, but you do need to give 2 icebreaker speeches, 1 for each path. Now you can work on multiple paths at the same time, but no fair counting 1 speech in 2 places for the same thing, okay? Now, what I want to make sure everybody has a copy of or can get their hands on a copy of is the Navigator. So I'm going to ask you, if you're following along, to click on the big Toastmasters logo, and throughout the Toastmasters website, if you click on the big Toastmaster logo, it'll take you back to the home page. And I believe it was, now I'm going to get this wrong, was it Shelly or Marcia that told me I could get to pathways through my profile? I don't know. See, it's been a long day. Clicking on your profile, you can get to Basecamp, you can get to your profile, and you can get to the Navigator. I'd like for everybody to go in through your profile and click on the Navigator. Pick your language, whatever language works best for you. Me, English, most of the time, and click View. And what you'll get is a guide to the online Navigator. Now this is the Navigator. This is the online version of the Navigator. If you're one of those people that just really likes to have paper, wants the touch and the feel of paper, wants to be able to make notes in the margins, wants to be able to highlight things, I can understand that, and that's perfectly acceptable. What we have for you, if we scroll down this page just a little bit, there's a Navigator PDF. And if you click on that Navigator PDF, it's going to take me up here to the Navigator, again, in a multitude of languages. I'm going to select English. And notice how the background changed. I'm no longer on the Toastmasters International website directly. They've taken me out to a document. This is a document. And if I get up towards the top of the page, it'll actually tell me the document number and the document name. And then over to the right, this arrow with a line under it, that's how you can download your very own copy of the Navigator. The little printer, if you have a printer hooked up, you can actually print your very own copy of the Navigator. Now I have a caution on this. If you download and print or download and save a copy of any document on the Toastmasters website, you're welcome to do that. That's why they make them available this way. But be careful about using it year after year after year, because as things change, the online version of the Navigator is going to get updated, and your paper copy, not so much. Okay, so be careful about saving forms and things and never going back to check for updates, because they've already added one path from the time that Pathway started. So if you still had a copy of the original Navigator that went out, they actually put out some bound copies of the Navigator. That only had 10 paths. You would never see the engaging humor path. And wouldn't that be tragic? I mean, what a path to be missing, the engaging humor path. Nice thing about the paper copy or the online version, like I said, you can highlight it, you can bookmark it, you can take pieces of it, you can do all sorts of stuff. Great thing about the online version, things that are linked in here, you can go directly to in the online version. So in here, it'll tell you, go here to watch some videos about this. Whereas in the online version, you just click and boom, the video's right there. All right, to get back to Toastmasters from here, I need to use my back arrows. up at the top of my screen. I'm going to do that twice, and it should take me back to where I started off here in the Navigator. In the Navigator, it's opened up and it's basically outlined the same way that this page is. I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to draw that down. There you go. Make my screen just a little bit bigger. So there's a lot about Toastmasters in general in here. There's things about the club, like what are the meeting roles? How does a basic club meeting go? Lots of information about Toastmaster meetings for first-time Toastmasters, or if you're trying to tell somebody about what a meeting is like. Speeches and evaluations, the Pathways learning experience, and this is where we're going to focus our time today, is on the Pathways learning experience, and then expanding your journey. What's beyond what's in Pathways? I want to give credit to somebody, I don't know who it was, and I've heard this multiple times, I don't know who the first person to say it was, but if you get everything you can get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters. How true that is, because there's always something else you can learn and something else you can do. But if the curriculum itself isn't challenging you, there is in Expand Your Journey, you can go on to become an accredited speaker, which is where people would actually pay you to speak. And then it talks also about things you can do in the district that are beyond your club, things beyond speaking in your club, but being of service in your district. So there's a lot of things you can do beyond just the Pathways track. All right. Phew, a lot of talking. Pathways learning experience. We're going to click there. And you might think, well, this doesn't look all that interactive. This doesn't look all that exciting. But if you open these up, they'll actually give you more information. And right here is a video. Now I'm going to actually stop sharing for just a second and then go back and share again, because I want to share the system, the sound from my system, so that you will be able to actually hear the video. If I don't share the sound with you, you're going to see lovely pictures, but not hear what's going on. So I'm going to actually play this video for you.
Welcome to the Toastmasters Pathways learning experience, an interactive way to develop your skill. Smedley's original vision and Toastmasters core competencies. Pathways upholds the club experience while offering new, revitalized educational content that helps you learn communication and leadership skills. The skills you will learn will give you a competitive advantage in the workplace and maximize your potential. Pathways allows you to leverage more than 300 competencies across more than 60 projects. These projects are divided into 11 specialized learning paths that allow you to tailor your experience to fit your goals and your pace. While all paths have the same level of difficulty and help to build public speaking skills and confidence, each path has its own unique focus. All 11 paths feature elective projects to choose from that allow you to further tailor your experience. All of this content is available online and is accessible from a computer, laptop, or tablet, allowing you to learn anytime, anywhere. Printed and accessible materials are also available. With Toastmasters members around the globe, we've also translated Pathways materials into a variety of languages, including French, simplified Chinese, and Spanish. If you'd like to work online, Basecamp is the place where you'll find all of the materials for your learning experience, along with tools for your journey. On Basecamp, you'll be able to share feedback with fellow club members, view badges you've earned, access and save digital speech evaluations, and more. When you first begin Pathways, you can take an optional online assessment that will recommend the path that best aligns with your goals. Projects include a variety of interactive elements, including questionnaires, quizzes, menus, and expandable content. Educational videos model skills and provide demonstrations of the concepts you are learning. Pathways brings with it many new learning opportunities. It upholds your club experience while allowing you to tailor your education experience to fit your needs. And best of all, your first path is free with your membership. So what are you waiting for? Choose your learning path and you'll be well on the way to building a better you.
In the written version, there's a link to this, but here it's so easy to just touch it and be right there. So that's one of the things I prefer about the online version of the Navigator. How will I work in Pathways? So in Pathways, we've already mentioned there are 11 paths. Each path has levels. Can anybody tell me how many levels there are in each path of Pathways? Very good. All right, 5. All you got to do is hold up your hand to say you can answer it, and you've got the answer. 5 levels, 5 levels. So and at each level, there's different projects. And there may be 2, there may be 3, there may be 4 projects at each level. So by the time you finish a path, you're going to have done, I'd say, roughly 20 activities. I mean, that's a rough estimate. But each path with 20 activities, and then if you do 2 paths to get your DTM, it comes out to about the same as the 40 speeches that you did to get a DTM in the earlier modules. Now, they did mention that there are printed materials available. The printed materials are somewhat limited, and what I mean by that is not all of the paths are available in the printed materials, and they're not all the paths that are available in printed materials are available in all of the languages. So they're really encouraging people to take it online, but we know that there are some folks that don't have access to online, and so the printed materials are available. I discovered, each time I do one of these classes, I learn something as well. So I discovered in our last session that if you do the printed materials, the way you see Basecamp is actually a little bit different than the way the folks that do it online see Basecamp, because you're not doing all of the things in Basecamp that everybody else is doing. You're submitting things in written documents versus submitting your completions online. So some of the steps that you go through are slightly different with a printed version than they are with the online version. I have not personally worked in the printed version. I know a couple of people who have, so I'll just kind of be watching and following along with them. But Charla, I know you're working with a member of our club, and we discovered that's why her Basecamp looked so very different than ours.
Yes, thank you, Carolyn.
All right.
Carolyn,
Now,
we had a quick question from David Bell.
Good. Thank you for keeping me honest.
He wants to know how long it should take someone to complete a level 1 in their path.
How long should it take?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that's a loaded question. I think it can be done easily in a week or 2, but should is going to be different for everybody, right? And one of my favorite sayings is, I will not should on myself today. So I can't tell you how long it will take you to do it. If it's your second or third path that you've gone down, it's probably not going to, you could knock it out in a week if you're a member of a couple of clubs. But if you're a first-time Toastmaster, just getting up the courage, a first-time Toastmaster, yeah, just getting up the courage to make that initial Pathways speech, that initial icebreaker, you may want to listen to a couple of speeches before, go to a few meetings, hear how they give feedback before you're comfortable standing up and giving your icebreaker. I like to encourage new members of clubs to give their first speech within the first, I'd say, 3 to 4 meetings, just so they don't get intimidated. There's a fine line between getting comfortable with the group and getting intimidated. You start out thinking, okay, I want to watch and see how they do this, and then you're like, oh my God, they're so good at this. So you don't want to let them go too long before you have them jump in and go ahead and start. Now, I say that because I was one of those people that I started out and I was like, yeah, we'll see when I get around to doing my first speech. But I invited a friend of mine from down the street. He joined our club. His first speech wasn't even his icebreaker. His first speech, he did a tall tales in the club contest. So, everybody's going to go at their own speed and do it a little different. And that's actually one of the beauties of Pathways, is that you can take it at your own speed. If it takes you 6 months to get through a path, it takes you 6 months. If it takes you a year, it takes you a year. I can tell you that I started my first path when Pathways first came out, and I have accomplished level 1. Now, it's not like I haven't done anything else in that time, but that's, you know, that's how far I've gotten. I know other people who started it when it first came out, and they've, you know, they're going for their DTM already in Pathways. So the speed is not something you can measure against the other people. That's definitely an individual's deal. All right, what paths can I choose from and how do they work? So here is where, if you have your own computer, this is going to be helpful. I want to play a game called Yeah But. Now, I learned this game from my 4-year-old niece, because no matter what you say, her response is, yeah, but. So we're going to take a look at each one of these paths, and I want you to find a yeah, but. So this is how this is going to start. I'm going to talk about dynamic leadership. And Marcia, you're going to take a look ahead at effective coaching. And Roxanne, you're going to take a look at engaging humor. And Elizabeth, you're not off the hook. You're going to take a look at innovative planning. And David, you're going to take a look at leadership development. And Pat, you're going to take a look at motivational strategies. Charla, persuasive influence. Shelley, do you have the ability to talk to us yet? Looks like you're on twice, so I'm hoping.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Perfect.
Okay, this is my cell phone. I just can't hear on my computer for some odd reason.
I understand. I saw your note. So you're going to take presentation mastery. And Demetria, you're going to take strategic relationships. Now, the way this game works is I start telling you about the path that I have. So I'm going to start talking about dynamic leadership. And then when I give the thumbs up, Marcia's going to come in and go, yeah, but in effective coaching. And she's going to tell us something about effective coaching. And then she's going to give the thumbs up, and Roxanne is going to say, yeah, but. Because anything we can do in one path, we can do in another, but there's things that we can, and then there's more. Does that make sense? So everybody take a couple minutes and just read what it says about the path that you were assigned.
Hey, Carolyn, it's Pat London.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, and I didn't go out for pizza, I promise, but I am for the first time on my phone for a Zoom meeting, and I'm hating it. And so without
you can't get to the internet.
Exactly. I lost my internet yesterday, and so I can't use my laptop or desktop or anything except my phone. And I can't get to the one you assigned me because only having one screen, whatever you're showing is what I can see.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
but I have an answer for that.
Oh, good.
You get to take dynamic leadership because you can see it.
Okay, yeah, because you have it on your screen, I can.
There you go.
Okay, and you want me to do what?
So you will start us off with, you're going to tell us something special about dynamic leadership, and then we're going to cue Marcia, and she's going to tell us something about effective coaching.
Okay, fantastic.
So I'm going to give you just a minute to take a look at that. You tell me when you're ready.
Okay.
You ready?
Go ahead. Yeah,
All right.
Go ahead.
You tell us something about dynamic leadership.
Okay, great pathway, excellent pathway, because not only does this give you skills, help you build skills as a strategic leader, but it also helps you deal with conflict in a group and emphasize you're able to diffuse and direct conflict, and helps you to develop strategies to facilitate change. Boy, I can't think of an environment today that requires a way of dealing with conflict and change. So this is an excellent pathway.
Yeah, but Marcia.
But effective coaching works on developing coaching, and establishing strong public speaking skills, and emphasizes the importance of interpersonal communication.
Roxanne.
Yeah, but engaging humor is going to help you understand your sense of humor and how to use that to engage with your audience.
Well,
Elizabeth.
I'm
This
still
one-
trying to pull up Pathways right now. My
Okay,
Zoom
well,
is so slow hosting it on here.
You've got my screen.
Oh. Sorry, I was on my other monitor. What am I on? Innovative planning?
You're in an innovative planning, yes.
Okay, yes, but this path will help you build your skills as a public speaker and leader. The projects on this path focus on developing a strong connection with audience members when you present, speech writing, and deliver speech delivery. The projects contribute to building an understanding of the steps to manage a project, as well as creating innovative solutions. This path culminates in a high-performance leadership project of your design.
David?
Thank you.
Yeah, but you're not only going to get to learn public speaking, but you're going to get to dip your toes into the leadership pool. And when you do that, you're going to gain a lot of experience by giving great speeches and learning about leadership styles. Plus, also, you get to put it into practice, which is marvelous.
Yeah, but this is Carolyn on behalf of Pat London's motivational strategies. And in motivational strategies, you not only get all of that, but active listening and practice motivating others with team building. Charla?
Well, with persuasive influencing, with persuasive influencing, this project on this path focuses on negotiating a positive outcome together with building strong interpersonal communications and public speaking. Woohoo!
All right, Shelley. Talk to us, Shelley.
I know, it's just a messed up process over here.
You're good.
I'm challenged with seeing, first of all, on this little small screen because I can't figure out what to do with the computer. Yeah, but the project on this path focuses on learning how an audience responds to you and improving your connection with audience members.
Very good. Demetria.
Yeah, but with strategic relationships, you learn to communicate well interpersonally by demonstrating your expertise in leading in your volunteer organization, building public relations strategies, and making connections through networking.
Anybody want bonus points? Yeah, but team collaboration, successful collaboration, active listening, motivating others. Each project contributes to building interpersonal communication.
Yeah, but I think you just need to get started with one.
Okay, good point, David. We don't have to take them all on at once because really there's good things in all of them. But what I wanted you to get a feel for was there's some variety, there's some differences in the paths. And that's what the assessment helps guide you toward. Now, let me put some fears aside of the assessment. I've had a couple of people, I'm not a good test taker. This is not a test. This is not a test that's going to give you a score that says you're good in this or you're not good in this. It's an assessment that's going to give you a suggestion for which path seems to match up with what it is you're trying to accomplish. And if you don't like its suggestion, blow it off and do whatever path you want. It's just a suggestion. One of the members of one of my clubs took the assessment 6 times until it recommended what she wanted to do in the first place. If you already know what you want to do, you don't have to do the assessment. It's there as a tool to help you. She kept changing her answers until it gave her what she wanted. I said, well, you got great practice at manipulating a personality test now, but I don't know what else that might have done for you. So don't feel like you have to do the path that it suggests. Now, I mentioned earlier that each path has 5 levels, and the levels actually have names other than level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. That's how most people refer to them. I'm a level 1, I'm a level 2, but there's actually names for those. Can anybody tell me the names of all 5 paths?
It's on the screen.
Well, 4 of them are.
Yeah.
4 of them are, but the 5th one's not.
Mastering fundamentals.
Mastering fundamentals is the first one.
Learning your style.
Learning your style.
I'll let somebody else join in.
All right.
Building
Increasing
skills.
knowledge.
Increasing knowledge, building skills. Good. Anybody know the 5th path without my pulling it up?
Demonstrating.
Reflect on your path.
Demonstrating.
Reflect on your path.
Demonstrating expertise.
Expertise.
And I think there is a reflection that happens at the end as well, Charlotte. I think you're right. So if you want a better feel for what you're going to do at each step, all we got to do, click on the little plus there. In level 1, you're going to do an icebreaker. Every single path, there's going to be an icebreaker. The next project is also the same in each path, but it'll be a little different because you'll be doing it with different speeches and maybe even in different clubs. The second project, you give a speech, get evaluation on it, and then give it again, incorporating the evaluation, the information you got in the evaluation, the suggestions and the feedback that you got. It also gives you a chance to do your first evaluation, to evaluate somebody else's speech. Now, there's a key component here that I think we haven't done a really good job of letting people know. Just because we're not in the old books, you know, in the old books you would mark off when you were the timekeeper, when you were the counter, when you did an evaluation, you still need to track that kind of stuff. And there's actually a place to do that in Basecamp. So I'm going to show you where that is because I think that's a piece that a lot of people missed. I learned about it a year after I started Pathways. I was getting turned in my first level 1, and they said, but I know you've done an evaluation, but you didn't tell us when. And I was like, where do I put that? They didn't ask me for that. So I'm going to show you where it is. I'm going to reveal the secret. Okay. Yay. We're going to reveal the secret. All right. At level 2, 2 required projects and an introductory to mentoring. Now, one person asked me, okay, so I get an introductory to mentoring, and then what? Well, there's a whole path on mentoring that you can go down, and there's a whole curriculum for being a mentor within Pathways that you can follow. If you don't, that's okay. But if it's something that tickles you, you get excited about it, know that there's a whole lot more you can do there. Then when I do my second path, do I have to do it again? Yeah, you get to do it again. Don't have to. You get to. You get to do it again. It's another chance. You're a whole path smarter. Maybe you've got more things you want to share with somebody now. All right, won't hurt anybody to double up on learning a little bit about mentoring, both how to be a mentor and what your responsibilities are when you're the one being mentored. At level 3, there's going to be 1 required project and at least 2 elective projects. So that means one thing they're going to spell out exactly what they want you to do, and the other 2 you're going to get to pick. Pick from what? Well, you get to pick from a list of possible projects. Some of the things I've heard people do, depending on your path, maybe a blog, maybe teaching a class, maybe doing a presentation. There's all sorts of different things that you can do for these elective projects. And then notice it says serve as Toastmaster, Topics Master, and Evaluator by the end of the level. So again, these are those leadership skills coming into play here, and I'm going to show you the secret place for marking where you do that. It's not really that secret, but it's not well publicized. All right, at level 4, I've got another required project and then at least 1 elective. So some paths may have 1 elective, some may have 2, some may have 3. I haven't looked at all the paths, so I can't tell you how many there are on every path. And even if I had looked at all of them, I can promise you I've slept and I wouldn't remember them all. So I haven't got all the paths memorized. At level 5, with demonstrating expertise, this is where you have a required project and another elective. And in many cases, this is where you're going to see an HPL, a high performance leadership project, come in as one of the electives. The path completion. The path completion includes the final project within your path. You can't start this until you've completed levels 1 through 5. And that's where you have the reflect on your path, Charla. So the path completion is the reflect on your path. And what will it be? Looking at what you've done, looking back at what how you've grown through this path. I can honestly say I have not yet made it to the end of a path, but I know that Charla has. So Charla, would you like to tell us a little bit about that activity?
Thank you, Carolyn. So it depends on which part you're on. The good thing is on one, for if it's giving you a high performance leadership to do, that's fantastic. Then you get to do something that is a culmination of everything you've learned in your wonderful path. You get to put something together that shows the strengths of everything you've learned from level 1 through level 5, and definitely get something accomplished and really show that you've mastered the skills of this. When you come to finishing 2 paths, that's when you can also go for your DTM. Thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome. All right. So now, you know what I did? I hit this little button over here on the side. I'd never done that before. And it took me off my page. All right. There we go. How do I get started? Well, we're going to spend actually a whole session on getting people signed up for Pathways the next time we do this. So if anybody hasn't signed up for a path, come back and join us. It's not next Wednesday, it's the following Wednesday. And anybody who is on that call, we will get signed up for a path before they leave the call. We will actually physically reach out through the phone and hold you in, but we're going to help anybody who wants help getting signed up for a path, get signed up for a path on that day. But what can I expect as I move along through Pathways? Well, there's a number of things. Not only do you get recognized each time you finish a level, but there are other badges and encouragements that can come along from other people in your club. And one of the things I'm going to show you tonight is how you can do that, how you can go in through your base camp and get into somebody else's and give them an award. You can actually give somebody an acknowledgement of being inspirational or being courageous or being exceptional at something. And we're going to talk about how you do that and how you get into somebody else's so that you can write their notes for them. There you go. That's what we're going to do. Is everybody ready? Anybody need a break? Anybody need to go get water? Bio break? Everybody's good? Got a thumbs up from David. He's good. All right, everybody's good. Then we're going to keep going. So how do I get started? Look at that. Choose your path or go to base camp. They make it so easy in the Navigator. You would actually have to look for a way not to get there. But let's go in. I'm going to go back up to my profile. Excuse me, my pizza is catching up with me. And go to base camp. What does base camp look like? Go. Once I go into Pathways, the screen starts to look a little different. And you'll notice that we don't have the big Toastmasters logo anymore. We're actually in Pathways now. So we're in, it's a learning module that they have purchased and paid a licensing fee for to deliver this curriculum. To get back to the Toastmasters International website, I'm going to need to do this return to my Toastmasters profile up here. That's the best way to get back if you want a quick link back. Otherwise, open another window in your browser and go to Toastmasters through your favorites or a link or Google or however you usually get there. So in my base camp, let's take a look at what I've got. Paths and Learning Education Transcript. If I look at this, what I'm going to see are the paths that I have, the paths that I have started. And then Effective Body Language Evaluation Resources, evidently something that I downloaded, and now I need to mark as complete for someone. I think this is somebody, a speech I did for someone. I've got to fill it out and send it back to them. But here are the paths that I'm enrolled in. I'm enrolled in Engaging Humor, Innovative Planning, and Leadership Development. I was one of the Pathways ambassadors, and so it seemed like every time I went out and helped somebody get started, I ended up signing up on a path myself. So I ended up with 3 paths, and that's where I am. Now, can I work, do I have to work one at a time? No, I can work in multiple paths at the same time. What I've done is I've designated one of them for each of the clubs that I'm in, so that way I don't have to worry about which club I'm going to give which award to. I know if I'm working in innovative planning, it goes to one club. If I'm working in leadership development, it goes to the other club. Do you have to do it that way? No, you can work in one path at a time and then decide which club you want to give your levels to as you go. All right. The one thing you do need to make sure, when I come back to my home here, if I click on the home, if I go to the home button, it gives me a little pop-up down below that I click on to get back to the home of Pathways. When I come in here, I want to make sure that I am that I'm in here from the club that I think I'm in. I went into this through Dining Out Toastmasters. So if I were to complete a path right now, the credit would go to Dining Out Toastmasters. And if I want it to go to my other club, then I need to go back and make sure that when I come into Pathways, I come in with the other club. So the North Houston Project Management Club. So if you're a member of more than one club, the key to giving the credit to the club is to go in under the club that you want to get the credit. All right. So I'm going to go in here under Dining Out Toastmasters. It'll take me right back to where I was. But notice that home didn't get me back to the home page of Toastmasters, just to the home of the Pathways section.
So on this page, the home for the Pathways, does it tell you anywhere on here which club you're in?
There are a couple of places that it does. I don't remember right off the top where those are, but one place is in the feedback, because you go in under Dining Out Toastmasters. If I go in under Dining Out Toastmasters and I want to give feedback to somebody, I can do that for anybody in Dining Out Toastmasters. If I was trying to give feedback to somebody in one of my other clubs, they wouldn't be there. So that's one way you can tell. There's a couple of places that it does it. I agree. I think one thing they could do up here is put, the club that you're enrolled in up at the top. But I've been told that not everybody's a member of more than one club. So, who knew? All right, we've looked at the transcript and education, speech evaluations. This section is a fabulous resource, not only for you when you're giving your speeches, but if you are going to be evaluating somebody else on one of their speeches. All the speech evaluation materials are right here for you. So if you were wondering, what am I going to be evaluated on if I say negotiate the best, you can go in and look at those ahead of time. So some of your elective projects, if you want to come in and see what the evaluation criteria is, you can do that. We'll pick active listening. If we go into the active listening project, the active listening evaluation resource, we hit launch. Now, who can tell me something about what just happened? We've done this once before when we clicked on the Navigator. We're no longer in the regular website. What do we have here in front of us?
You went to a PDF form.
That's right. We went out to a document. So if we go up towards the top, you'll see the document number and the name, and you'll see that we have the ability to download it and to print. Okay, so if I'm doing an evaluation for somebody else and they tell me what project, I can go out, get a copy of it, and I can either keep it in a PDF and fill it out on my computer, or I can print out a copy, write it out, and hand it to them. Either way works, okay? Or I can do both. I can print it out, take my notes, and then come back and type it in and upload it. Or I can give them the handwritten copy and they can upload it. Either person can upload the evaluation at the end of a project. But what you can look at here in the evaluation, and one of the things I think is so cool about Pathways, this is where a lot of evaluation forms stop. Clarity, 5 to 1. I know 5 is good and 1 is, I probably need some work, but what does that mean? What is a 1? What is a 2? What is a 3? What takes me from being developing to emerging? Well, looking down here at the third page, it actually gives you the criteria for each of those levels. So if you're doing a speech evaluation and the spoken language is unclear or not easily understood, that's a 1. Spoken language is somewhat unclear or challenging, that's a 2. Spoken language is clear and easily understood, there's a solid 3. Excels at communicating and using the spoken word. And then a 5 is it's an exemplary public speaker. Now there's still a level of subjectiveness to this, because what's exemplary to somebody who's never stood up in front of a group and given a speech may be a little different than what's exemplary for somebody who's won the world championship of public speaking. But at least you have some criteria here to guide you from 1 to 5. And I think this is one of the most incredible parts of the Pathways program, is that it puts all this out there. So if I'm one of those people that's like, okay, they gave me a 3. What does that mean? I can go in and take a look at it. Well, I appear comfortable in front of the Toastmaster. Well, what would I have to do to get a 4? Not just comfortable, but to be fully at ease in the role of Toastmaster. That's the difference. I got through it. I look like I was okay getting through it, right? Appears completely self-assured in the role of Toastmasters. And does this mean I did a dance and had to tell a bunch of jokes? No, because that's going to look different for different people. All right. So don't remember that when we're in Toastmasters, we're evaluating what we see and what we hear, but we're not evaluating that person as a person. We're evaluating their speech and what they did. There's always going to be an element, like I said, of subjectivity in it, but I think this really does help clarify and make things much more palatable. A word I use is hearable. One of the things we talk about in feedback is making the feedback constructive. And this helps that feedback be constructive. It's not just, I think you could have done more of this. It's, you got through it, but you didn't look like you were comfortable. Or you really look like you were comfortable being this. Any questions? Anybody have any comments, any feedback, any thoughts? Just making sure everybody's still awake out there. Haven't lost anyone? I know David's still with me because he gives me a thumbs up once in a while. All right, I'm going to assume everybody's still there. Pat's on her cell phone. Hang in there, Pat. Charlotte gave me the thumbs up. I got it. All right, perfect. Now, to get back to where I want to be, because I'm out here in this document, I can just go back to my other tab because it did open this in a tab. So if I just close this tab, it's going to take me back to that other tab. So launching here, all it does is take me out to the PDF. Now I want to go back, hover over home, click on home. These are a hover and click, which is a little different than what you may be used to on other websites. I can't tell you how many times I clicked on home trying to get home. It's not a click, it is a hover, drop down and click. So learn from my mistakes. If you're one of those click happy people like I am, take it a second. Tutorials and resources. This is another section that's out here in your base camp that gives you a wealth of information and materials to improve and do things. Now, not only in each curriculum, and we're going to open up one of the curriculums that I'm in and get a chance to see the kinds of things that are in each path, but beyond that, there are resources out here that you can use. Now, some of the paths actually encourage you to do a 360 evaluation. And that's one of the things that you do. But even if you weren't in that path, this resource is out here and you can click in it. It's not going to stop you. It's not going to go, oh, you're not in that path. It's still there and you can still use it. The subjects, if you want to if you want to narrow down the options, because here in tutorials and resources you have 1,597 items. That's a lot to scroll through. So if you want to narrow it down and say, okay, I want to look more like at project descriptions, there you go. Or, and in what language? Okay, so project descriptions, and I would stick personally to English for me. So there's my active listening project. There's my advanced meeting mentoring project. Here's communicate. I can find them. If I want to see something else, I don't want to do project descriptions. Now I want to look at well, there's what were my evaluation resources. It'll take me back to that. Here are, oh, look at that, back to the Navigator in any language we want. Frequently asked questions. If you, at the end here, we're going to have some time for you to ask some questions, and I promise you, you're not the only person with that question. Probably not even the only person on this call with that question. But there are a lot of questions out here that people have already asked, and they've been answered. Many of you I know a lady named Pamela McCown. One of her favorite sayings is, read it. Because most of the time, what you're looking for, the answer is actually out there. And I would go further than that and say, go look in the Navigator. My bet is the answer to your question is in the Navigator. Basecamp glossary. This is where if you need some help with terms, well, let's just take a look at the Basecamp glossary. Launch. That's my clue that it's going to push me out into something. Here I am again in another PDF. What is a badge? Badges page, Basecamp manager. So all these terms that people throw around like we're supposed to know what they are, there's actually a glossary out here that defines them for you. Whole bunch of things, Club Central, curriculum. That's one I've thrown around a couple of times tonight. Elective projects, e-portfolio, external training, feedback badges. I mean, there are 4 pages of terminology from pathways. A couple of them that I know we've said tonight. Required project, a project assigned to a member based on the content of their path. That's an assigned project. Elective, some of them said we would have elective projects. Any project self-selected. So if it's one you have to do, it's a required project. If it's one that you make a choice from a set of things, that's your elective. But all of the language is very clearly defined out here. Close that. Use my little back arrow this time. That works as well. Whoops, no it didn't. Try again. There we go. All right, and then Basecamp Manager. This, I've had several people say, are you going to talk to us about how to be a Basecamp manager? This particular course is not about being a Basecamp manager. If you remember, it was just getting people comfortable and signed up for Pathways. That was the whole idea of this course, was getting everybody on board and into Pathways. We actually started in the very first session, some of you were with us, some of you weren't, with just how to get comfortable in Zoom so that if we shared our screen, we knew how to do that. All right, back to home. We'll make sure we cover everything on the home page here. Now, this is where I went to see my educational transcript, but I can also see what paths I have right here. And how do you suppose I get into one of those?
Open curriculum.
Open curriculum. So if I want to go into my innovative planning path, I just click open curriculum. And here we go. So in an innovative planning, I have earned my level 1. I've finished that. I can tell I've done it because it has a check mark there. I had somebody ask the other day, so I'm going to mention this, that they thought they had finished level 1, but they didn't have their check mark. Well, if they don't have their check mark, come back and look. Do you have a check mark for icebreaker? Yes, then you've done that. Check mark here, check mark here, check mark here. If you're missing a check mark, that part isn't done. So that's how you can tell which part you haven't finished. And it may be something as simple as putting in the roles. I keep teasing you with that one. I promise I'm going to show you where you do it. Okay. To do my level 2, I click here, and these are the projects I have. I have an understanding my leadership style, connect with your audience, and an introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. That's what I'm going to, those are my projects in level 2. To actually complete, though, I need to do this completion activity. There is a step that you have to do there to mark that you've completed. If I want to look ahead and see, okay, well, what's going to be coming up in level 3? I'm going to do present a proposal, and then I have an elective. What kind of an elective? Well, I have to pick 2 out of 13. So let's go take a look at what my electives are. Oh my goodness. So the elective projects, I can deliver social speeches, use presentation software, connect with story. These are all of my choices. I don't have to do all of them. I just pick any two. Okay, let's say I like storytelling and storytelling comes up as an elective in multiple projects. Can I pick the same thing in multiple projects? Yeah, I can. Okay, so I don't have to do something new, but it also means that if I want to reach out for something and go a little further, maybe I want to explore my sense of humor. I don't want to jump into that engaging humor path. I'm not up for that yet, but I just want to give it a shot. Let me explore it. I have that opportunity. Questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
One thing that I noticed that's difference between the legacy and this one, or maybe I just don't know where to click, is in the legacy, I had my book and it was very easy for me to write the name of the speech that I was working on, the date, who evaluated me. And so that helped me keep track of everything that I had. As I was going through my level 1, I thought, where do I go to enter the name of my speech? And I kept clicking in lots of different places and I just didn't see it. Is there a spot to list the name of your speech, or is it that you're just marking it complete and you're done?
You don't actually have to put the name of the speech in like you did in the legacy program. But if you want to know what the names of your speeches were, on all of the evaluations, it has a place for the speech title. And I'm going to show you where you can upload those so that you'll not only have the name of your speech and when you did it, but who evaluated you and what information they gave you in that evaluation.
That's actually what I ended up doing because I couldn't find the spot. The evaluator who evaluated me didn't use the evaluation form. They just gave me an evaluation. So I took notes and transferred that onto an evaluation form and uploaded that. So I had record of the name of the speech just for my own information later.
And you can actually just take the piece of paper they gave you, take a picture of it with your cell phone, send that picture to yourself and upload that picture.
Okay.
Or if they give it to you and you can scan it, you can just upload the scanned document. So you don't even have to transfer what they did to the actual evaluation document. You can use what they did. I know in a lot of clubs, the people will do the evaluation. I do this a lot. I'll fill out the evaluation form and then I'll give an evaluation, but I won't give it just reading the evaluation form. I'll do it in another way, the 3-2-1 method, the sandwich method, or I'll pick an acronym and do something with that. But I'll give them both. I'll give them the document that Toastmasters had and my notes that I did my evaluation from. Now, if they didn't give me the document to do their evaluation and I didn't know ahead of time which one to go get, then they just get the notes that I had from my evaluation and whatever evaluation I gave them. So that's an encouragement to give your evaluators the evaluation form, or at least tell them which one it is and make sure they have access to go get it. So if somebody says to you, hey, I'm going to be doing an active listening, you can go get that resource.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually go out and get the evaluation document for that. That's what we saw in that last section. I'll remind you where that is. Okay. Good question though. Absolutely. So one of the things they did that they've done now that they didn't do in the beginning was they let you go ahead and look at the other levels and see what's there. When they first put this out, it was like some big secret. You weren't allowed to know what was in level 2 until you had completed level 1. Well, the truth is in Toastmasters especially, some of us that are really involved, not everything always gets done in the exact order. You know, I may have an opportunity to do something that would be perfect for my elective before I have a chance to do my beginning mentoring in level 2. There's no reason I can't go ahead and do that. Now, I encourage you to complete the levels in order, but if something comes up and you have an opportunity to do something that fits well in one of those electives, there's no reason you can't go ahead and do that. There is a reason that they're in the order that they're in, because it follows that learning and development path. But especially on later, if you've already done a full complete path and you're going on, and you know, Charlotte's working on her 2nd DTM now, and we got people out there that are working on their 3rd and their 4th. It's not going to hurt them to do a level 4 project before they finish completely their level 3. It's not. So they've opened it up and let you take a look at it. Now, what they have said is you can't complete level 3 until you've completed level 2. So you can't mark them as complete. You can't go from level 1 to level 3 and then have to go. They want you to complete them in order, but you can work projects from the other levels. Everybody with me on that? Everybody good? Okay, very good. When I get out to level 5 on innovative planning, I'm going to have a high performance leadership project and an elective. Now this time, notice I don't have 13 items to choose from, just 5. So I'm going to pick one of these. So when I pick my elective, it does need to be one of the electives that they give me the opportunity to do. Okay, I don't get to do another. If storytelling's not in here, I can't tell another story and mark that as an elective. I need to pick one of the electives that they've given me, but I can pick any of them. All right.
Here's another random question, and I should probably read this when I get to that point. Leading in your volunteer organization, is Toastmasters considered a volunteer organization because the officers are on a voluntary basis?
Yes, yes. So leading in a volunteer organization, absolutely. Being an officer in your club would be considered a leadership position in Toastmasters, yes.
So I need to hurry and get to level 5 so I can finish that.
Hurry, hurry. But there's also other opportunities to lead in Toastmasters beyond your club. There are roles that district at the area level, the division level, the district level. One of my favorite roles that I've been in is in the TLIs, where you go out and do the trainings. You know, surprise, surprise, I'm here doing a training online, and I really enjoyed the TLI role. I've done it a couple times. I've actually had a couple people look at me and go, "Are you nuts? You've done that role 3 times?" Oh, you know, okay. So, you know, some people like it, some people don't. But there's something for everybody. There are offices in Toastmasters organization. I have a good friend who says, "Yeah, I'm an anal retentive accountant. I'm not going to be out there teaching everybody how to do things." You know, a volunteer organization needs an accountant. There's actually committees that you can serve on that are going to utilize those accounting skills for all of you who are the accountants out there. Not being an accountant, that's not my bag. But chances are, talk to your treasurers. Your treasurers tend to be a lot of those folks, okay? But there's something out there in a leadership role for anybody. You just got to find your spot and jump in it, okay? Okay, very good. And then notice that path completion is down here. I have to actually do the path completion to get credit for the whole path. Okay, I don't just do all the levels and then stop. If I don't go out here and do the completion, actually do the reflect on your path exercise, and then this part where you actually submit, it's not going to get done. Okay, all right. Let's look at, I'm going to go back to, oops, I did it again. Go back to the home, and let me show you that secret spot I've been talking about. On this page, up here in the upper right-hand corner, there's the thing called My Account. And if you click on My Account, it has another profile. This is your Pathways profile. Remember I said that Pathways is actually a curriculum that they put into a tool. Toastmasters didn't build this tool. It's a tool that other people use for learning curriculums and presenting curriculums as well. And here is where you can mark that you were an accounter on a given date, that you were a general evaluator on a given date, a grammarian on a given date. So remember on one of my levels it said I needed to be a Toastmaster and I needed to be an evaluator and I needed to be, if I don't go in and put those dates in here, I can mark that complete all day and it's not going to get done because there's no date confirming that I did the roles. So this is the, I don't know how, as a Pathways ambassador, I missed this, but I managed to miss this whole thing, even being a Pathways ambassador. So if you didn't know it was here, don't feel bad, okay? And I just realized Pamela McCown's on the call, and I acknowledged that. She was like the leader of the ambassadors, so I just admitted that I didn't do my job very well. But as a Pathways ambassador, I didn't realize this. So in these classes, I am highlighting it and showing you this is where you put in those roles that you've done. This is the equivalent of the sign-off sheets in your
CL.
that's it, the Competent Leader Manual. Thank you for being my brain on that one. So put your dates in. Don't forget to hit save, and then you can get out. All right. But that's the spot, Marcia. See, I made you hang out for a whole hour before I told you where that spot was. But there you go. That's where it is. Okay. All right. Hover over home. Go back to home. Feedback. This is where I can request and give feedback to my club members. So if I go into feedback, I'm actually going to see some badges that different people have given me. If I want to give a badge to someone, here's what I do. All right. I went in under Dining Out Toastmasters, so I need to pick somebody in Dining Out Toastmasters. But back up here at the top again, see that little, there's the basic settings, and then there's that little person thing there, and then there's the search. Okay, if I click on the person thing, it shows me my profile. If I go into search and I start typing the name of somebody in Dining Out Toastmasters, well, I probably ought to spell it right.
I'm so sorry, I missed it. Did you click on my feedback or my badges?
I clicked on feedback.
I got it.
Okay. Now, why is it not finding Elizabeth? Hold on. Let me try this again. I must have done something. I goofed it up somewhere. So I went into my feedback. And I want to give Elizabeth some feedback. So I go up here to search. And why am I not? I thought.
I just did a search. I did the same thing that you did. So after I typed in the first name, I hit the magnifying glass and the same thing to hover.
And did you get a person?
I found my person. So as I started typing, I just hit the search. It popped up right underneath the.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Elizabeth. I'm not seeing you. You're in Dining Out though, right?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I believe if you click my name under your badge that I gave you, maybe you can get that.
Oh, I know I can't do it that way. I was just trying to show them how to find somebody up there, and it wasn't.
Well, she may not be signed on in Dining Out right now.
Oh, she's not signed in and Dining Out right now. She may be in a different club. Okay.
Oh, the home club. I need to make my home club Dining Out.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
I didn't realize they had to have it as their home club at that time when you went to give them the badge.
That's interesting.
Right. You are a member if you're a member in multiple clubs, whatever club you are last signed in as, is the only
That's the only one. Okay.
At that time. So if you were wanting to give an educational award to a particular club and you hit submit or finish or whatever you hit to complete a path or a level, you want to be signed in whatever club you want that award to go to so that the right VPE gets the notification.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about that, about getting the award to the proper club. I just didn't, I thought I could give feedback to anybody in my club. I didn't realize they had to have that club selected at that time.
Carolyn, I just changed it to Dining Out. Let's see if it works that quick. I'm curious.
Oh, okay. Well, now I can get to you. I can see you.
Oh,
so that's good.
There.
I got you that way. The summary interest. I could always go into that. Okay. Let's go to feedback. And now I can share my feedback. I don't even have to know how to spell it. It'll help me with that.
Do you think that they're going to add more badges?
They already actually have. They when they started out, they had was it 4 or 5, and they've added another one now called Innovative. Innovative is a new one. So I suspect that, yeah, there probably will be more that come online. So I can select whether I want this to go just to Elizabeth or whether I want everybody in the club to be able to see it. I didn't say anything I think she would object to anybody seeing, so I've got that. And then I can pick a badge to give her, and I'm going to give her inspirational and post. There we go. That's how easy it is to give somebody in your club encouragement. So when the gentleman that I invited to my Toastmasters meeting, he joined that night, and then the very next meeting he gave a speech in the speech contest. You better believe I gave him a courageous badge, because I couldn't believe. First time Toastmaster, never been in Toastmasters before, only the second meeting he'd ever been to, and he jumps in by going into the speech contest. Courage all over the place in my book. That's how easy, though, it is to give somebody feedback. Now, if I want to get back to me, I need to go back up here, and I can go back to my account that way, get back to me, go back to home. This is one of those places you do need to kind of pay attention. If you're giving several people badges, make sure you're giving the right badge to the right person. You know, you don't want to tell them you don't want to tell Charlotte what a great job she did handling Pam when she was upset, and actually give that to Pam going, I'm proud of you for getting over being upset. You know, maybe you're going to give them each a badge. You don't want to mess those up. So make sure you're giving the right person that badge. Get back to the right place. Home. Welcome to Basecamp. I'm back at my profile. The documents that you can upload, in addition to badges, the evaluations that people give you, if they send it to you, the place that you have to store those is here in My Documents. Here's a place to keep your level 1 files, your level 2 files. You can then, if you've given them a title, you can actually search by title here. Level 3, I haven't done those because I haven't been in those yet, but I've got 2 things out here in my level 1. This is feedback. Actually, no, this is when I completed my icebreaker. I just put a copy of it in there so that I had it in my documents. I did it, I just handed it to her on paper. I don't know, I'm not sure why I did that, but I did.
Carolyn.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? This is Shelley. So back to where you posted what role you took in the meeting, so you can check, so if you do another role the next time, you change the date?
Yeah, you can just change the date.
Okay. So does it account for anything with you doing the different roles, or, I mean, what does it mean to do the different roles?
What I can tell you is that if there are roles assigned within your path, you will need to have a date in each of those fields. I don't know if in the background somewhere it keeps a master, an ongoing log of all the times you've said you were this, this, and this. I honestly don't know that. Pam may, but what I do know is that if to complete your path, it tells you need to be a Toastmaster, you need to be an evaluator, and you need to be a grammarian, that when you submit that path, there needs to be a date in all 3 of those fields.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. All right, so that concludes my tour of Basecamp. Next time, we're actually going to go out and get everybody signed up for a path if they're not signed up for a path. But we have a few more minutes. If anybody has any particular questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if I don't know, I have a wonderful punt resource here in Charla and in Pamela. So fire away with your questions.
I have questions. I think I always have questions.
That's good. There's nothing wrong with that.
The badges. I think I was first introduced to badges during the area director meeting when you did the training, because you said you're getting a badge and you get a badge. You sounded like Oprah. And I really wanted to utilize the badge concepts. I'm actually on here now trying to get badges to people in my club. There's a spot on here, it says view all feedback requests. What is that?
So you can request that somebody give you feedback on a speech other than your speech evaluator. And if you've requested that, it's going to send them a note and ask them to give you feedback. You can use this a little like the notes that you use during the meetings.
Awesome. And then if you give a badge to somebody, do they get an email that says, hey, guess what? You got a new badge?
I don't think I got an email saying I got badges. I think you just have to go out and check your profile once in a while.
Okay.
And I was giving away badges, and I do have that list, and I still have some. That's a lot of notes to write because I did that more than once. So my Oprah days are not quite over yet. But yes, I do have some badges that I still owe people. But since they're not in my clubs, what I've had to do is reach out to somebody in their club and get them to put it in on my behalf.
And completely kind of unrelated, if we have feedback for updates for this, do we send a note to Toastmasters International? So for example, it'd be really cool if I could give feedback to people in other clubs with all these different trainings, because there's some people who do a great job in their training, or they ask some fabulous questions, or they're really engaged. I've learned so many different things from just listening to other people that I would love to give them a badge. Hey, that's really innovative. I'm going to use that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And so I would love to give that feedback to someone. So do I just connect with Toastmasters International?
Yeah, let's take a look at what you might be able to do here. Because Toastmasters does always welcome feedback, and they may or may not, don't take it personally if they don't incorporate your feedback. It may be something they're looking at. It may be something they are looking at how they do it and still maintain privacy. There's all kinds of things that can be going on there. But if you go back to the actual homepage for Toastmasters, and remember I said you can't just click home here and get back to the Toastmasters page, but I can go return to my Toastmasters profile and it will get me back there. On the Toastmasters website, if you go to up here where it says contact us, mm-hmm. and scroll down,
pathways.
There's a whole group of things about pathways. There's award inquiries. I would say probably I would start with the paths and path requirements if you want to do it, if it's with regard to a path. General, yeah, those are educational awards.
Carolyn?
Yes.
My suggestion is when you finish a level, you are prompted to give feedback to Toastmasters International.
There you go. That's a good place.
And I would say that would be a great place to offer a suggestion on something that you wanted to see in Pathways that's not there. And Carolyn is right. You cannot give feedback to someone that's not in your club. I was all excited as the Pathways ambassador about the mentoring program because I thought I was going to have a database of people that had been through the Pathways mentoring that I could choose from all around the world for a mentor in Toastmasters. And then when I found out, no, you only have access to your own club, I was so disappointed because I was thinking, man, I could pick somebody from India to pair up with that's on my same path and have a mentor for motivational strategies from another country. So I guess the only way I could do that now is to just reach out to people that are having online meetings and virtual meetings and collaborate that way and find somebody in a club in London or somewhere that is going through my same path. So right now we don't have that capability of going outside of our club and giving feedback or even requesting feedback.
Yeah, I even as an area director, I've thought there were times I'd love to have given a badge to somebody in a club that I was visiting, and usually I just go out to the VPE and ask them, hey, if I send you an email with all the things I want you to say in that, will you post it for me and just say on behalf of? And I haven't yet had anybody tell me no.
Cool.
I've had a couple of people say, how do I do that?
That's
and then I get to then I get to show them, but I haven't had anybody go, no, I'm not going to do that for you.
I mean, I think the other cool thing would be to have the ribbons, because I know that you can put a frame or a ribbon frame on your Facebook, but there's not a way to add a ribbon so you can have a library of ribbons on your profile.
A library of ribbons.
I remember in a corporate club, when I would walk by cubes, I'd see all the ribbons posted up, or I have mine in a book just to keep record, but it's really hard to do that because we're online.
I'll tell you one thing that I have done. Now it's 7:58, so
sorry.
Let me let Elizabeth finish up her thing, and then I'm going to show you something I've done in a couple of my clubs, and maybe it's an idea for you. Okay? All right, Elizabeth, let me get you back to where you need to be.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You are more than welcome.
The course does end at 8 p.m. For those who are able to stay, we please ask that you do. If you have any further questions, we would love to have you here. I'll keep the room open for as long as you need. But for those who do need to go, we ask two things: to download the Survey Monkey. I added the link in the chat, and then also, when Carolyn finishes all of these sessions, we will place them on a video for future viewing, and it will be on that shared Google Drive. That's on the slide, and it's also posted in the chat as well. And then on the next slide that we have here is a QR code for the Survey Monkey, or you can download it straight from the chat or take a picture of it on the slide. We would really love your feedback, and we appreciate you being here. Carolyn, this does conclude the session, but if you have any more questions for Carolyn, we would love to have you stay, and it's always a pleasure to see everyone here. Thank you.
All right, yeah, please do fill out your surveys, and I do encourage you to give feedback on that as well. Since you asked, Roxanne, let me just pull up something here and show it to you. I'm the Sergeant at Arms for a couple of clubs, and I take screen grabs during the meetings. So let me move the chat window out of there. You guys don't have to see that. But Snip and Sketch, if you use Microsoft, very easy tool to use.
I have Snagit. It's the same concept.
Or Snagit, same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, click New. It grays out your field, grab what you want a picture of.
Right.
And then you can actually save it. So I'll do this throughout the meeting as the Sergeant at Arms, and then when they get ready to say who the winner is of the best speaker or the best evaluator or the best table topics, I'll go through my library of pictures that I've taken for that meeting. And in my slides, I actually have, I don't have them in this slide deck, but let me open one. Okay. So this is for my North Houston PMTM. One of the things I do as Sergeant at Arms, I have a photo review at the beginning. So I take some of the screenshots and just put them out on there for when people are coming into the meeting for them to see. And then I also have, I took the backgrounds that Toastmasters International had, and then I just paste their picture
that's a great
right
idea.
there on that. And now they've got a certificate with the best table topics and their picture. And then I'll take another screen grab of this and send it to them, or send it to the secretary, whoever's doing the minutes for the meeting. And so they've got not only that, but it's in stuff that they can send out. So I cannot take credit for these backgrounds. Those were things that were put out by Toastmasters International. But I just, like I said, real quick, grab a screen grab of their face, you know, sometime during the meeting, and then pop it onto the slide. And that gives them something they can keep.
I've been sending them minute recaps, or just minutes the day after, the night of, and in the meeting recaps, I'll highlight who was best table topics, who was the evaluator. But something like this can be attached, and then that way.
Absolutely. One of the clubs I work with, the secretary, after every meeting, she sends me a note and says, "Can I have the awards? I want to put them in my minutes." And she puts a copy of the award. So
I love it. Thank you.
So Carolyn, I've also taken this background and I've made it into a certificate that I actually email out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I am a scavenger by nature. So when people in my club finish levels, like Tom just got his advanced communicator gold, you know, I just have taken a picture of the, you know, some award, and then, you know, congratulations, or Brent got his level 1, you know, I just, because we're online and we can't hand them those things now, we've just kind of modified it a little bit to show some of the things. Or we had somebody who right at the edge finished their competent communicator, so I just have a picture of the ribbon there with it. But you know, there's certainly people far more innovative than I am that could probably do even more than that with them, but you know, there's a start.
These are fabulous.
Carolyn, I
Yes.
just recently visited, I'm trying to visit a club in Africa, and I'm going to say the name wrong because I'm going to say gabardine, and I'm thinking of material, but it's, anyway, I looked on their Facebook page and they had something wonderful to share. May I show you all this in case someone wants to look at this?
Absolutely, go for it.
Okay.
I will stop sharing so that you can share.
Wow.
So let me move this to the back and present. That was on their Facebook page, and I just thought it was so nice to be able to, I'm like, wow, doesn't that look nice? And then they did this, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to let that go, oh, not go bunny. I'm gonna have to let this club know I'm looking at their items.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That really is. That's very well done.
Yeah. So.
Very well done. Now, I have trouble getting some people, Charlotte, to pose for pictures. You know, they fuss at me when I even just take a candid shot. So getting them to pose for something like that might be a challenge. But
I'm going on mute.
Okay. Well, folks, I hope that this was helpful for you. If there's anything that you can give me for feedback to help me make the next session better, I would love to hear that. Otherwise, I am going to bid you adieu and go enjoy the rest of my evening, and I encourage you to do the same.
Thank you so much, Carolyn.
Awesome, Carolyn. Wonderful, Elizabeth. Fantastic session. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Pamela, it sure is nice to have you as backup on these.